Ask Raven. The wise one listens and answers with song, from cedar shadows where old truths belong.
I watched the ship before she stayed, before her engines seized their trade, a burdened hull by labor worn, a waiting beast of steel and form. Men claim that anchor equals rest, a pause from gale, a harbor's nest, a place where danger dares not creep. Tides grow mild, and sailors sleep. But I who mark the drowned and lost, who tally names no chart has crossed, no stillness is a lying face, for memory haunts the quiet place. Nootka Sound in winter's breath, a fog-bound coast that smells of death. The shore seemed bare of house and flame, yet land still knew each vanished name. Once here were songs and cedar fire, children learned the tide's desire. The smoke once climbed the forest tall, like breath released from wooden hull. And sickness came without a drum, no war canoe, no battle hum. It rode on touch, on gift, on air, a silent thief beyond repair. Smallpox, swift and unforgiving, fed on both the dead and living. They fell before they knew its face. No time for right, no time for grace, no closing prayer, no parting cry, no last embrace to teach them why. For those who died in nameless fright did not depart the world of light. They lingered where the surf still spoke. They learned the sound of wave and oak. They counted fog instead of years. They drank the rain instead of tears. They waited long with eyes of shore for footstep, voice, or paddle oar. And when a ship at last drew near, they felt it like a heart's first fear. Marjorie Todd, in iron sleep, let down her chain in waters deep. Her engines hushed, her windows bright, a floating town in frozen night. The waiting ones were drawn in kind by warmth and sound and human mind. They mistook steel for village ground and living breath for welcome sound. Not wrath they brought, nor hate nor flame, but hunger born of death unnamed. From shore to hull, their shadows slid, from broken past to future hid. Yet not all souls were touched the same, for blood remembers ancient claim. Two walked free from grip and stain, their spirits full, their borders plain. They felt but weight and restless sleep. Pressure pressed from water deep. No hand upon them chose to stay. Voice within them learned to play. But one stood open in the night, a man whose scars admitted light. Stanley shaped a distant war, by broken land, refugee shore. His ghosts were folded in his chest, his drink the key that broke their rest. When glass met glass and laughter rang, door unlatched, the bell once sang. The waiting dead found voice and limb, and grief put on the shape of him. His tongue gave words not born of thought, his hand obeyed what death had taught. I do not know if love or hate shall be my guide or chosen fate. Those words were older than his pain, they rose from loss that leaves no name. Steel was drawn and fear was fed, and reason fled the decks instead. A jacket hung in lantern glow, a gift from love he did not know. It wore the outline of a man, a shadow dressed in human span. The blade fell where the heart should be, but cloth received the cruelty. Again, the fabric tore, till violence had no more in store. The ship held breath, the fog drew tight, past put on a living sight. And I above both wave and hull, watch memory turn murderous and dull. My mornings pale and broken clean. The spell withdrew, tide turned clean. The spirits loosened their borrowed hand, and Stanley woke to what he'd planned. Shame walked with him from birth to deck. Regret hung heavy on his neck. Some deeds cannot be caged at sea. Some lines once crossed must set men free. Their shore received what ship could not, a man unfit for anchor's lot. The chain was raised, the hull withdrew, waiting dead, returned from view. Back to their shore of fallen beams, to ashen homes, and silent dreams, not healed by time, nor made complete, but no longer riding steel and fleet. Thus the water taught again, charts ignore, tides maintain, and stillness keeps what death once knew, and anchors touch what grief runs through. Men write of bays of safe and sound, of sheltered coves, proven ground, but I have seen rest below, where sudden endings learn to grow. When ships grow still above such land, the past will rise to take a stand. For where no meaning met the dead, memory wakes where hulls are led. Teaser, next, ask raven and tree. The next tale starts not in west, but hunted north by storm possessed. The gale that fed on fishermen's breath pursued the hull with scent of death. In harbor late when lines were tied, one soul still walked the vessel's side. A cousin lost to wandering years, a friend who wore forgotten fears. What followed then came not in twos, but threes. This tale reached you through mist and foam. Set it on, let it roam. Mark below the harbors you've known, where silence felt but quite alone. For those who speak the stories stay, and lost names find their rightful pay. Find raven signs where symbols start, and ask raven native art, a work of heart. Or cast your words across the tide to ghostboatadventures@gmail.com. Inside, what you remember, you now defend. Tale kept living, shared again.
What you forget, Raven remembers. Through fire and embers, Raven remembers. Nevermore, nevermore, nevermore.